Okay, so we're going to talk about pay plans. I want to talk about kind of how our system sees them and what they, how they're, what the purpose of them is in our system. So pay plan is pretty straightforward in the fact that what it does is it moves a total balance or a portion of a balance from the normal AR over to the pay plan AR here. I have a customer already set up. We can see that here. So I have moved this guy's build balance over to the pay plan balance. Let me go ahead and bigger. And so what this does, the reason that we do this is maybe someone walks in and says, "Hey, I can't pay my bill," or they're about to get cut off, and they come in, they ask if they can get put on a kind of payment plan or something like that. And there's an arrangement made between you and the customer, maybe some documents that are signed between you and the customer, and this takes the total, again, the total balance or a portion of that total balance, and moves it off the AR and puts it in the pay plan balance. That way they can't be, if you remove the whole balance to the pay plan balance AR, then they can't be penalized for that balance. They can't be locked for that balance. Now that that balance may show up on the bill if you want it to. They will still get their regular charges. So if you move the entire balance over like this guy has, and they get a new reading in, then they'll be charged regularly for that usage. And we have a process in the system that will actually take a chunk of that pay plan balance and move it back over to the billed balance area, so they can be charged per month or per whatever your setup is. So I want to go, I guess, start with the setup for the pay plans. If you go under UB administration, system code maintenance, then it will bring up the system code maintenance screen. Then you can click on the payment plans tab over here on the far right. So what I've done on this test database is I have set up 2 pay plans. You can have any number of pay plans that you want, that you may need, but you just hit the green plus, and then you can put your description in this box here. This little area right here has 2 options. You have a percent and you have a fixed. I'll go ahead and start with the one least used. Percent is the least used, and I think the reason being is because what it does is so let's say that I have $100 in a pay plan, and I have a percentage of 25%. Means that I want the guy to pay this balance off 25% at a time. And so the first time that they're charged, then they get charged 25% of that 100, and so it'll be $25 on their bill. The next time that you run the payment plan process, it's not $25 again. It's now 25% of the $75 that's left over. So that percentage is based on what the total balance left over in the pay plan is. Excuse me. Fixed is more along the lines of what people think of as a pay plan, where you can space or divide a balance by the number of months that you want to string it out for. And you can also make a fixed amount. So if you wanted to just put any kind of amount here that you want them to be charged every time, then you can put an amount there to allow them to do that. The general options area here is you got minimum balance. Now this means they have to have a certain balance available before they can be put on a pay plan. Meaning if they're a 0 balance, or let's say that nobody can be on a balance unless they're over a certain dollar amount, or nobody put on a pay plan unless they're over a certain dollar amount. Then you can type in that dollar amount here, and then anybody over that amount can be considered to have a pay plan. Minimum days before processing. This is kind of a safeguard in a way to allow the payment process not to be run too early for people. A lot of people will put 30 days here, 60 days here, something like that, depending on how often you bill. But it will prevent the pay plan processor being run on an individual for that many days. So if I put 30 here, and let's say that you run pay plans, say every week, then if I were to get a pay plan put on my account, and you have 30 here, then that means that I will not get another pay plan processed until that 30 days is reached. And then the next week that you run it, it will charge me. I'm going to skip over these two fields real quick. I'm going to jump down here. This is for interest. If you want to accrue interest on balances, then you can set an interest rate, set an income center that it charges through, or an adjustment code that it charges through, how many days are in the year, do you want to accumulate interest or compound interest. This is very rarely used, but if you guys do want some more information about how this works, then let us know. All right, so back to the default remove adjust and apply adjust. The reason that I skipped over these is because this here and this section here kind of go together, or yeah, they kind of go together. So a default remove and adjust. This basically says if I want to take a balance off of an account, like this guy here has balances across water, sewer, street lights, and LC sewer. So he has balances in all four of these income centers. But you'll notice that the setup says water pay plan. So if you use these two boxes and these two boxes alone only to handle pulling money off and putting money back on, then what it does is it takes money out of all four income centers into one adjustment code, which resides in one income center, and moves it off. And then if the person breaks the agreement, then you want to put the balances back on. It adjusts it in one lump sum back through that income center, that one income center, one adjustment code. Some people are fine with that. Some people don't want that. Some people want it to go back on the exact same way it came off. And that's why we have this section down here. So then you can create, you can go into adjustment codes here, and you can set a remove adjust for each income center and apply adjust for each income center. So let's say I had all these filled out, then penalty would come off through what? Well, I guess we can't really have an adjustment through penalty. Let's just start here with water. Water would come off through whatever adjustment code you use for water. Sewer would come off through whatever adjustment code that you use through sewer, so on and so forth. And then if they break their agreement and you put their money back on their account, then it goes back on to those same individual income centers. Let's see, that is it for the basic setup. Like I said, I set up two pay plans. So I have water pay plan and I have sewer pay plan. One of our customers has one, and one of our customers has the other. So let's go look at balances on this guy. What does he have? He has the water pay plan was added. And I think this guy has the sewer pay plan. Yeah. All right, so what I wanted to show you on the customer screens here. All right, got a question from Becky. Let me bring that up. What if we only want to allow pay plans for water only, but have multiple charge types? If you have multiple, I'm assuming that you mean rate codes and adjustments in water, then you would set up a you can set up a pay plan to pull everything out of water by itself, or everything out of water through through different adjustment codes. Either way it comes off your. So we can bounce back over here. So water. What it does when you make an adjustment code for pay plan for water, it's going to kind of bundle every charge and adjustment that they have in water into that one adjustment code for water and pull it off. And then it's going to put it back on, adjust it back on the same way. Now you can only charge one person usually. I know Lewiston is has a few customizations that are a bit unusual, but through a normal method, the balance in water, you can only be charged via one rate code for water, but you can have a water rate code, and then you can adjust water as well. So both of those will be combined and pulled off through the pay plan adjustment code that you choose to use and put on back the same way. So it won't be put back on through a rate code and then put back on through an adjustment code. It's going to be adjusted back on the account through the adjustment code that you choose for water. Looks like Deanna has a question. Do you need to enter both fixed amount and number of months, or either is fine? Either is fine. What's you're talking about here? Really, the two kind of override each other. So if I have a fixed amount, then that kind of does away with whatever number you have here. So most people want to do a per month thing, but if you want to do a fixed amount, then you can do a fixed amount. And the system's only going to look at that fixed amount, dollar amount, to charge that. And if the math ends up where you want them to pay $100 per month, but they only wind up with $25 at the end, it's only going to move that last $25 over. It's not going to stop because it doesn't see $100. If that makes sense. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next piece here. I'd like to show you how to set somebody up on the pay plan. So on the customer's account, this guy has a balance. It is past due. Who is this? This is Natalie Smith, so this is a lady, not a guy. So she comes in and says, I can't pay the full $441.88. Can I make an arrangement? You're like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Most people, when they set up a pay plan, they have some kind of documentation that the customer has to sign. So if they break that obligation, then they have to pay the full pay plan balance and whatever they've been charged up to that point. So once that's going to be all worked out on the business end of things, if you need some kind of guidance and questions on setting something like that up, let us know. We'll be glad to help. But all that said and done, Natalie's ready for a pay plan. So pull up her account, go to pay plan right up here. And once on this screen, we're going to click the green button. And I'm going to choose right here. We have two choices, my two pay plan options that I set up before, a water pay plan and a sewer pay plan. Now, you don't have to have two. You can just have one for everybody. That's fine. It just depends on how you want your system to operate. And you can have more than two if you absolutely need those. But I made two because I want to show you how the process pay plan function works here in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose water pay plan for Natalie. And I'm going to choose, so I have it defaulted to 6 months. Now you can change this here. You can kind of override the default. You can override the default, and you can change this number. So let's say I can change this to 8, and now the amount will be divided by 8 instead of 6. The default screen, the setup screen, is just for the standard default across the board. How do you want everybody to start out as when you bring the screen up? So at 6 months, so I'm going to make my date for calculated payoff, move that about to October, say 31st. Then I need to move their balances from the AR to however much I want to put into the pay plan. Now, again, I said you can put the total amount or a partial amount. I'm going to go ahead and put the complete total amount here. You got to type that in, 11665, 11163, 1159, and 18132. Oops, I missed something. 1159. Yeah. So adjusted balance. If you plan on moving everything over, then you can look over an adjusted balance over here and make sure that all these are all zeros. Once you move all the balances over, you're satisfied that nothing's left out. You hit the calculator button, and so every time the pay plan process is run every month, then she's going to be charged $73.65 over a 6-month period to her bill. And again, you can override here as well if you want to use percentage. Then you can put however much percentage that you want to put in there if you want to do that. So we're going to save that. And then this screen here, the customer payment plan, is kind of a summary, or a quick at a glance view of what's going on with her account. So, and you can come back to this screen anytime you want to. Shows the date it was added, which pay plan was used, what was the original amount that was added to the pay plan, what is their current balance of their pay plan. This is how much they're going to pay across their 6 months until this is paid off, and then the payoff amount here. Once you get here, so you've created the pay plan, you've saved your changes, you're here. If you want to, you can come up here to the printer button and print this off. And this gives you a breakout that you can print off and hand to your customer if you want, about when each one is due, the payments for each one, and then they can see the balance go down to 0 here. People like this a lot. This is really useful. People use it all the time to print off and hand to the customer, so the customer at least has some kind of ledger to track how much they're paying and when they plan to pay it off. We can close that up. Close this up. And if we look at the balances tab, we see that the pay plan was added. We see the billed balance is now 0, and the pay plan balance is $441.88, which is their total amount that they had due at the time. Okay, so let's say that it's next month. It's time to charge them for their regular usage. We put the reading in. We apply it. They get a charge here. But before we bill them, we want to be able to take that, $73, $76, something that they're 1/6 of their payment off, and also apply it to the bill before we print the bill. So then we go to periodic. We go down here to process payment plan. And once we get this screen up, we'll see that we have a choice of our billing cycles that we want to look across. We can do all of them. We can do one. Doesn't matter. But then we need to choose which pay plan type do we want to use. If you have one, no biggie, leave it as it is and move on. If you have more than one, if you run water pay plan only, then that does not mean that my sewer pay plan also got run. So I'll have to run water pay plan preview. There's my 3 people. There's Natalie Smith with her $73.65. I've got a couple of people that I set up previously. But these are only water pay plan people. There is no sewer pay plan people here. So I'll have to save this. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Process complete. I get a little report that says this is everything that was run for the pay plans. Print that off if you'd like. And then once I do that, I'll have to move to my sewer pay plan and hit preview again. And there's my other sewer pay plan guy, and then save that. Now, both of these have been run, and this will go across the the board as far as which cycle you have selected, depending on which pay plan type that you selected. Becky has a question. Can you remove selected customers from the total list? From the total list. I may have to talk to you later, Becky, and ask what exactly you mean. I'm going to assume what you mean is, can I remove people from the pay plan? But I don't know. It could be wrong. But if you want to remove people from the list here, then no. You can, let me go ahead and preview again. I can't remove Riley Thompson from this listing. Okay, that was her question. She just confirmed that. Okay, so no, you can't move. You cannot remove somebody from here. If you want to remove them from here, then you'll have to remove their pay plan from them, which I can show you how to do here in a minute. Now, again, let's go back to this, the minimum days before processing. So let's say that I have this set to 30, and I run my pay plans every single week. Then if I run cycle A every week, Riley Thompson is only going to come up one time because it's going to run him once and then not run him again for 30 days, no matter how many times I run it. Let's see. And close that. Do you want to process the plan? Nope. So now if we go back to the customers, we can see where it was added. The pay plan was charged $73.65. Now we see an unbilled balance, $73.65. Now if we double click this charge, it comes off through the water pay plan charge because I have just this set. Again, this is, I'm not, and with the test demonstration, the test demo here, I'm not worrying about how they come off, just that they come off. So that's why I have this set, and I have not broken it down here. Now, if I was to add those in, then this charge would list out all the income centers and how much money came back to the account through which income centers. All right, so now it's time to print the bill, and you print your bill and move on. Now, some bills, I think, will show the balance as a pay plan balance. Don't quote me on that, though. I'd have to try that, talk to our developer. Some people may have to add that line in. But if you want to use it and you want it to show in the bill, we can cross that bridge when we get there. All right, the last thing that two last things I want to show. Let's say that Natalie has broken her agreement. She, we've processed pay plan. We've processed it again the next month, and this unbilled balance for her pay plan is just continuing to snowball along with her regular balances. Those are continuing to snowball. She's clearly broken the agreement. We want to take her off the pay plan, and everything is due as of whenever I say it's due. So I'm going to go up to pay plan, and I'm going to highlight the pay plan that we just looked at and just set up a second ago. Delete it. It's going to ask you a question. Choose from one of the following options, which I don't understand why they say choose from one. You only have one option. So I'll have to talk to Eugene about that. Basically, you have accelerate remaining balances. When do you want the due date to be for these balances when they go back on? And when do you want them to start aging? So a lot of you know the difference between due date and aged date. If you don't, put a ticket in. We'll be glad to explain that to you. But age date is how old do you want these charges to be once they go back on the account? And they will all be aged from that date. You can't pick a different age date and a different due date per income center. They will all go back on with that due date, and they will all go back on aged as of that date. So I'm going to say OK. Close that up. And then we see that the pay plan has been removed. The Pay plan bucket is now empty. Her total balance has been moved over back into a billed balance and now has a due date of 4/16. And I don't have a quick way to show you the age date, but it's also aged as of today. Okay, I'm going to go back over to this other customer who has a pay plan. Let's go over here to this guy. All right, let's say, who are you? This is Marcus. Let's say Marcus walks in and says, he's paid his pay plan religiously. He carries a zero balance, but he's got a little bit of extra money. He wants to come in. He wants to pay $50 down in between on his pay plan. That's fine. You can do that. What you do, same way that you removed Natalie's, you can come in, hit pay plan. We can edit the pay plan. We highlight it and then edit. And then right here, we can say amount to remove from principal. Let's say he's got $50 in his hand and wants to pay on his pay plan. So we're going to hit put 50 in, and then we are going to update payment amount. So now, since he paid his 50, that reduced his balance from 181.06 to 131.06, and it has recalculated his payments for the duration of his months that he has to pay off down to $26.21 per month. So we're going to go ahead and save that and go back and look at his account again. And we can see, again, pay plan removed, $50, and then you can make that payment right there. Becky had a question. Is this what you would use if the customer wants to pay it off completely? Yes. Exact same way that we did for Natalie over here. We remove the entire pay plan. They come in and go, all right, I got my income tax in. I got a stimulus check. I want to pay this off. Great. I'm going to remove your $441 from your account. Same way. Just go to pay plan, highlight it, hit delete. That puts all the money back on the account, and then you can make the payment right after. All right. Did I miss one? Oh, yeah, I did. Goodness.
I sent it to you. It's a little bit longer one.
All right. I apologize. I got connected late. I had trouble. So if you can cover this, I'm sorry. But we have customers with promissory notes and are interested in doing this and looked at it, but couldn't find a good way to set up. Do you have some instructions for that? Promissory notes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa. Promissory notes is just a promise to pay. Is that accurate? If that is accurate, I would assume. I don't know. There could be a few ways that we could work that. My best thing to tell you, just to kind of keep this moving a little bit, is to put a ticket in with that exact same question, and we will spend a little bit more time helping you out on that, if you don't mind. But it's a great question. I want to get that answered for you, but we want to be able to answer it fully. And there, I got all different kinds of options running through my head on how we might be able to handle that. So I don't want to bog us down in the webinar right now going through each one of those, because it's a scary place.
And Melissa, I can go ahead and facilitate creating that ticket for you and following up on it. So if you don't get an email from support this afternoon, just double check back with me.
All right. Last piece I want to cover. Am I missing anything? Am I missing anything before I move on to this piece? I don't think so. All right. So you've got all your pay plan set up. You got a number of people on it. You want to see who's past due, who's paying it on time, so on and so forth. If you go to reports, you've got a payment plan AR. Click on that. It'll bring you to the payment plan AR screen. You can choose which cycle you want to look at, one or all of them. which pay plan that you want to select, one or all of them. You can do balances aged by. I'm not really sure where this affects the pay plan, as the pay plans don't age. So most of the time I just select it all. We hit finish, and I will get to that question in one moment. So basically what we have here is we have Cassidy Crane, Thompson Riley, Cassidy Crane, Riley Thompson, and Marcus Amies. The original amount, to date amount remaining, how much they all have remaining as in total, and then their past due buckets, 30, 59, 60, 89, so on and so forth. This is a kind of a quick way for you to see who is past due on their pay plans. Then you can contact them or remove them or whatever. All right, so I got a question. Can you show us what happens when a payment is made and it includes both the pay plan and current charge? Yes, I sure can. So this customer, I did a partial move. So I only removed part of his balance from the billed balance over to the pay plan balance. So this guy has an existing balance to pay. So what I'm going to do real quick, just to make sure I don't miss it, I'm going to come over here to payment information, make sure that pay and billed balance is on. So I will, it is, good. So I'll make sure that I get that unbilled balance, because when you put the pay plan charge out, it goes back into an unbilled balance. So you put it into a bill. So we're going to go ahead and make a payment. And it will come up eventually, I promise. All right, so we're going to say that he's going to make a cash payment of, let's go ahead and say he pays off his current total balance. Go ahead and save that. And I'll have a receipt printer set up. So then we can go back to the account and see the payment paid off his regular charges here, here, and here, and then paid off his pay plan charge there, and he still has the pay plan balance sitting here off the regular AR. All right, got another question. If someone pays ahead on their account, does it show up on our open transactions after their payment is made, where we take live time payments in the office so we can still balance out our cash flow? Yeah, it's the same thing. Basically, what you're doing is you're just moving a balance from from here to there and allowing them to pay it. So once then it'll show up like any other payment that you normally see. It's not, you won't see any kind of special identifier in open transactions. Means it's like saying this is a payment plan payment. It's just going to show up as a payment. But yeah, you'll see it in open transactions. Next question. Can we use the pay plan for sewer capacity charge? We call it latecomers, which will be financed yearly for 10 to 15 years and had an interest charge on it. Yeah, I don't see why not. There's people will use pay plans for different things in order to keep the balance on the account. Put that in air quotes because you're moving it from the billed balance to a pay plan balance, but they don't want to be penalized for that amount for some reason. They don't want to be locked for that amount, but they want to keep the balance on the account. Yes, you can do that. Mesvin, get with us on how to set that up. There's a few different things we have to do for something like that, but I think that will work just fine for you. What happens to payment plan and payment plan amounts if a customer account is closed before paying it off? It moves it all into, if I was to final this account, it's going to move everything off and put it on the final bill. So it's not going to keep a balance on here. Now that depends. That depends on how people do final bills differently. But in a normal speaking sense, it's going to look at all the balances and then move them out of the pay plan balance, put them in a billed balance, and then put that on the final bill. If they pay less than their balance due, does it apply first to the pay plan payment arrangement or charges due? That is going to go on their priority. So, bring this up. Payments are distributed by priority through Income Center. So, to answer your question, it's not going to say, "Oh, I need to go to charges before pay plans," or vice versa. It's going to follow the payment priority. If you have any more questions about that, Sylvia, let us know. So next question was, if we do the final bill through the action queue, does it cancel the pay plan automatically? Yes, it's the same thing. The same thing as doing a final bill manually. If you do it through the action queue, it's still going to pull the balance out of the pay plan balance and put it in the billed balance, same as doing it manually.